The work session is now called to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Here.
Councilmember Parzak?
Here.
Councilmember Casper?
Here.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Here.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Here.
This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was sent via email to the Atlantic City Press and Cape May County Herald on October 4th, 2022. In addition, copies of notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the front door of the borough website, the borough Facebook page, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on aforementioned date. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. And for the record, this council meeting was held both in person and streamed via video telephone conference in a Zoom format. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The solicitor will be joining us in a matter of minutes. He had some business he had to take care of, and is just next door in the conference room. So let's start with A&F. Councilmember Kraftcheck.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're going to begin A&F with Mark de Blasio, our engineer, who's going to give us his regular report and then update us on the BRIC program and flood mitigation FMA program.
Okay, thank you. Regarding the Beach Patrol building, a TCO for the entire building has been issued, and the final TCO will be issued once the final electrical panel is installed, which was supposed to be here at the end of September, and we are still waiting for a delivery date. So that is definitely a supply chain issue. The bid opening for the 114th Street Sanitary Sewer Slip Line project was September 28th, and the low apparent bidder was Mobile Dredging and Video Pipe in the amount of $41,170. Similarly, the bid opening for the Beach ADA Access Improvement Phase 2 was July 20th, and the apparent low bidder is Vulcan Construction in the amount of $460,200. The Phase 2 project is defined as the replacement of the two pavilions at 88th and 101st Street and the associated ramps. Both of those items are on the agenda for the regular meeting for award. Once they are awarded, we will move those projects into construction right away. Next, our office has provided a proposal to the borough for the next phase of the underground storage tank project at Public Works, which is the physical removal of the 3 existing tanks and potentially new installations should the borough decide to do that. Once that proposal is authorized, we will begin work on that immediately. Last item that I have here is actually 2 grant opportunities for the borough relating to FEMA and flood mitigation. The first one is the FEMA BRIC program, which stands for Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities, and the Flood FMA program, which is the Flood Mitigation Assistance Program. Long and short of it is that myself, Bob Smith, met with Jim Rotella, who is the borough's grant coordinator for those types of projects. The discussion was utilizing the BRIC program, which is used for building and constructing things, to look at that program to potentially apply for and fund the 93rd Street Pump Station project or any derivation of that project, whatever it's going to be, once it's decided. And then secondarily, the FMA program would be an application for planning, which would allow us to look at the areas outside of what I would call the 93rd Street project, which was 89th Street to 99th Street. We could look at a planning grant from 80th Street to 89th Street to properly plan what we would like to do, so we have realistic and cost-effective solutions for flooding. And that's what that grant would do. That grant would put you in position on the planning end to then apply for a BRIC grant. So both of those grants are due at the end of November, and I believe Mr. Rotella provided Bob with a proposal to basically prepare and submit those applications with our support, if you so choose to do that.
And when would we have to authorize that proposal? At the next council meeting? The 18th?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
Because the deadline is the end of November.
Okay.
The good news is a lot of the data is already available. It has been included in prior grant applications as it relates mostly to the brick aspect and also some of the planning aspects in the 80 to 89th area.
If I could add, Bob, the BRIC program, Jim Rotella had advised us, and it was corroborated when we had the Coastal Coalition meeting here, actually at Borough Hall, that BRIC program is receiving 2 to 3 times more funding than normal. So again, we can never predict if we're going to get a grant, but there's more money available there for those types of projects.
Jim had also mentioned that the FEMA has already done the benefit cost analysis, and so he feels that there's a high likelihood of success. They did it when they awarded a grant to the borough a number of years ago for the 94th Street pump station. So we're relying upon the same or very similar set of facts, and he feels that FEMA would find that the BCA makes sense because of past history. The cost is $10,000, similar to what it has been in the past for preparation of the grants.
Anybody any questions? Need clarification? He sent a pretty extensive proposal as far as what their experience is and so on and so forth. Other municipalities and cities they've worked on, other projects he's worked on, and we've worked with him in the past. So it's something you're going to see, I was going to say in 2 weeks, but it's actually going to be less, October 18th. So we'll be voting on it on October 18th. So now's the time if you've got any questions or need clarification. All right, I'm not hearing any.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
No other questions for Mark? We'll move on to our tax collector. Anything exciting for us?
Good morning, everyone. In June, I sent out 278 delinquencies. By August, I sent 6 tax sale notices. 4 were for tax, 2 were for water and sewer. And I'm happy to report that all paid before tax sale. This is our 2nd year in a row with no tax sale.
Good.
The monthly report, the collections report for taxes, prior year, $5,250.81. Current, $484,893.79. Preliminary, $157,361.16. Interest, $6,678.91. Cost of sale, $113.91, $40 in NSF fees, for a total collections of $654,368.28. And for utilities, we have sewer, $387,140.85, water, $317,607.61, infrastructure maintenance fees, $5,007.75, interest, $262.78. That'll start climbing up now that we're charging interest again. This year this month for October, I posted for September over $1,000 in interest charges. Miscellaneous services, $5,260. Private fire protection facilities, $2,275. Total utilities collections, $717,533.99. And that concludes my report, unless anyone has any questions. Sorry it wasn't exciting.
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to our tax assessor, Margaret.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, September was busier than August. I had 23 deeds, 15 were usable, 8 were just dog transactions. I did 15 certified lists because it's demo season, 4 COA inspections, and about 15 inspections for pools for added assessments. The added assessment total this year was down to $38,993,900. I believe that there was a lull in COs for single-family dwellings, but Ray's not here to verify that with me. So I just had Suzanne run a report, and I figured there was about 28 new single families for this added assessment season. We also got notice of our ratio for 2023, which went from 80.88 to 66.62%, which means that the borough is about 37% underassessed.
And what does that mean?
And that means that, as you learned when the tax bills went out, that our apportionment for the county tax burden will be more than, the higher the ratio, the less you have to pay of the county tax burden. Now, everyone in Cape May County got one of those warning letters that you got. And from what I understand from the county tax board, Avalon met informally with them, and they are not, like they wanted to do I guess a reassessment, and the board, was against it because they don't want to be chasing this market. So,
So it was basically like an appeal, so to speak? Did Avalon, or what was
well,
it?
Avalon just went for an informal discussion.
Informal, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, now even Ocean City, the ratio is down below, I think, 80%. So Ocean City is normally pretty on top of things, as is Avalon, as is Stone Harbor. And normally, we've never seen this kind of increase before, I don't know, ever in history, but in my career, I've never seen, I've seen some pretty big increases and then a big drop. We're just not seeing this kind of, steady increase. I've never seen it before. So we're hoping, I think everybody's hoping that there's going to be some adjustment to the market, but we don't know how that's going to happen. Whether it's interest rates increasing or, no one knows. So.
Well, we even mentioned at the last meeting that the inventory has increased,
Yes,
It
and
has,
I,
but now it's going.
but now it's going down
I mean,
again.
it was-
yeah, there was, and, I didn't have time to check the MLS this morning to see how many listings I had and how many are pending. I think the last time I checked, I had about 40 pending, and,
22 single-family and land.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, that sounds about right. But like I said, I didn't have time, I was getting this other information together this morning, so,
That's low. Normal, pre-pandemic, you're up around 80.
yeah. So,
You're still at 1.
we just don't know what's going to happen with the market.
So if how long are you in almost like a wait and watch type mode?
It's hard to say. Apparently, also, there's only 3 reval companies that are certified by the state to do revals. And, half the state probably needs revals, probably more like 75%. So, I'm not sure how the state is going to handle it. I think that the letter you got from the Director of Property Administration said for you to call her directly because, and even like the county tax board doesn't have any answers. So I think that that's why that was addressed to you and why her direct number was on
there.
that
Yeah,
letter.
and I received that yesterday, and in addition, the CFO was CC'd on the correspondence, so was the clerk. So we just got that yesterday. At what point would you, I guess
I think
I'm
that's
asking
what you have to ask
them whether or not we're looking at a revow or how long they're going to sit on it, so to speak, because it's the entire county, I think, with the exception of Woodbine.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody else was
Well,
significant.
Woodbine only has one sale a year, so,
Yeah, and I think that was the only town.
Yeah.
Some of them, and they were striking, the most significant was West Cape May, I believe. But yeah, it's astounding.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
So I want to say that they assessed us at 7.9 billion, Is that what I saw?
I didn't look at that number.
correct? 7.9 from 4.9. Right below
Right.
5, I believe it was, right below
I'm
5.
sorry, it's, the assessment is 4.9.
Right, and
Was around mid-4s?
then they say 7.9.
No, I don't think.
No?
4.9. I think it's 4.
I didn't bring.
Okay, I thought that's what I read.
the equalization
I could be
chart.
wrong, but I don't believe it's that high.
Okay.
That would be like an astronomical jump.
Yes, I noted it was
Like
astronomical.
astronomical.
I'm thinking that's, yeah,
But
I think the only
it
person
has
that benefits is the
There
county.
has been an astronomical.
it has been, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can't give you the answers that you're looking for.
Okay.
Okay?
So with
All right.
with respect to that letter that was sent the other day to the mayor and to the clerk, I've circulated it with the CFO, with Margaret. We're going to wait and have a conversation with Jim to see what his advice is as to how, what is the next move, basically. Not sure. We are absolutely below the statutory trigger, but Margaret made a reference, I think everybody's thinking this, when do you want to chase the market? When's the market going to stop
Right.
running before you actually set up the reval?
Right.
So we're going to have that conversation with Jim to see what.
And it is like it's statewide.
And normally the order starts with the county tax board. They alert the state, and then the state alerts the borough.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you,
Any more
Margaret.
questions?
Margaret?
All right, well, have a great weekend. Happy Columbus Day.
Thank you.
Next up, would normally have construction, but I believe Ray is not here today, so we will skip that. Borough Clerk, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. So the revenue for the Borough Clerk's Office for the month of August was $13,950. With the beach vehicle permit policy changing recently, with the ordinance only allowing the sale from 9/1 to 9/30, there were 226 beach vehicle permits purchased in that time period. There were 235 sold last year with the longer 6-month time period. The Borough Clerk's Office is proposing that guidelines be established for beach and pavilion weddings. The Borough Clerk's Office has prepared an application and proposed rules and regulations for beach wedding ceremonies. And after review with the A&F Committee, is recommending that a $250 fee be charged. The guidelines for beach and pavilion weddings would be added within Chapter 365 of the Borough Code, and fees would be established by resolution. Looking for that guidance, I've provided everybody with the wording. Megan prepared the application and the insert for the ordinance, and we would like to bring that forward for first reading at the October 18th meeting.
Everybody get a chance to look at it? Any questions? I thought that there was going to be some sort of a requirement for insurance.
We can certainly add
Is that something that we should be doing or not?
Yeah.
Because I did notice it's not in here, and when we looked at other municipalities, are they requiring that insurance? No.
Don't we have a provision, general provision that any borough-sanctioned event by
Anything that takes place on, any private event on borough property?
required, like it's all special events they have to provide. So I just assumed that it was part of it, even though it's not specifically enumerated in the changes, that was, but.
Oh, okay, because you're thinking there's a blanket policy, it's just, okay.
If not, absolutely, absolutely. That's standard. To me, in my mind, that's like number one. So, yeah.
Megan, did you see any municipalities that have that?
I didn't know.
Okay.
We can certainly add it in there. Kim and I talked about extending from their homeowners, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is that something, okay.
So that was something we talked about to see if there, if we did require an insurance policy, sort of like the special events applications, but we can certainly add that in.
Because we do on every other function that takes place on borough property that's,
Right.
okay. Any dissension on that? Is everybody in agreement that that should be something that's added? Okay. Anything else on it, on the weddings? Okay, all right. Again, I guess we're going to see it on the 18th for the first reading? Okay.
All right, thank you, Kim. Next up, Jim, do we have anything for discussion?
I just want to give a report on beach tag sales. This year, we sold 1,078,916 beach tags. Last year we sold 909,728. We were up 18.6%, or $169,232. If we take what is spent to date and project it out to the end of the year, the revenues will cover expenditures of the beach.
So, Jim, question, what was the difference between season tags sold, number of tags, not the revenue, but the number of tags sold in 2021 versus 2022 with, it is rumored that folks went to Avalon to buy their season tags?
Yeah, we did see about $2,000 to $3,000 decrease in tags, in seasonal tag sales. It's kind of hard. Usually when the tag price increase, there's always a drop in sales, but it was a little bit more than expected. I'd say by at least 2,000.
So if there was, is that, I guess what I'm looking for was the number of tags less? Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
About 2,000, at least 2,000.
At least $2,000 worth, so 2,000 divided by whatever that would
No,
be.
2,000 physical tags.
Oh, physical tags, I thought you were talking dollars. Okay, 2,000, okay, okay.
What would a normal drop be?
It's usually around 1,000 or 1,200, you know.
So we
And then it goes back up again.
Right.
Yeah.
So the revenue was up, but the number of tags sold was down?
Yes.
As
Okay.
Avalon reaches parity with our rates over probably a period of, would you say, 2 years,
2 or 3, yeah.
you'll see parity come back into play with regard to
Okay.
those numbers.
And what's Avalon looking at as far as the increase? You have any idea?
It's going to be discussed at the meeting next Wednesday, and it's probably a $2 increase in the seasonal tag.
Okay.
So,
And Jim, just a point is that the revenue covers the taggers and the beach patrol, but does not cover other beach expenses, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't, the maintenance or the beach fills or anything like that.
Very
Just
good.
Just
Good.
the protecting the beach. Yeah. And we also had a band sale on Tuesday. The coupon rate on the band is 5%, but the successful bidder gave us a premium of $182,254, so it brought the net interest cost down to 4.3%. And from what bond counsel tells me, that is comparable to other band sales that occurred in the prior 2 weeks. So we did pretty good on that. There were a lot of changes to the band market just before our issue that might have hurt us a little bit, not hurt, it would hurt the band market in general. The SEC put out a ruling that anybody who buys the bands and resells them, if there's not an official statement with the original issue of the band, they can't do that anymore because there's some complex thing that goes on there. So we were lucky that we were able to issue our ban as a 1-year ban. Our fallback position was going to be to issue it as a 9-month ban, because anything 9 months or less was not required under that new SEC regulation. And next year we'll probably issue an official statement with our ban, just so we can guarantee a 1-year ban. And then the budget, the 2023 budget worksheets were sent out on Tuesday as well. And we also, with the budgets, were the budget calendar. And to summarize the budget calendar, we have a date of, on just before Thanksgiving, on 11/21, the budgets are due back. And at the end of November, the capital budgets are due back. In December, we'll review the budgets at council work sessions. And in January, we'll review the capital budgets and follow up on any outstanding items in the operating budgets that came up in November. In February, we'll summarize the budgets along with the impact of any capital, and then any final questions on the budget before we introduce it at the end of February, and then have a public hearing on the budget at the beginning of March and adoption at the end of March. If all goes well and the state gives us, doesn't adjust the budget calendar as well. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, Jim. Anything else from A&F, Charles?
No, that's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Public Works.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to read in a letter that the borough received from the Stone Harbor Chamber of Commerce addressed to Manny Parada. Stone Harbor Chamber of Commerce would like to acknowledge your Public Works employees for all of their efforts, hard work, and cooperation before, during, and after our Savor September Festival, September 23 and 24. Your crew contributed greatly to making the weekend's events successful. We'd like to especially mention Tim Brophy, who works closely with us on the festival. His attention to detail, patience, and insight are invaluable. Sincerely, Marnie Lengi and Marilyn Hale from the Stone Harbor Chamber of Commerce.
Nice.
So nice to get a letter from them.
Good job by Tim.
Acknowledging the work of Public
Good job, Public Works.
Just to mention that we are going to be introducing an idea for a stormwater pilot program. Manny Parada will give some information about that when he does his report, but just want to mention that that is something that we're working on also currently now. There is a link on the borough website to request trash pickup. So if anyone that's out of town and needs to get the trash picked up that is not a full-time resident, you can use that link to request the trash pickup. So that should be it should be much more convenient to be able to get that done. Just a reminder that the trash ordinance for the trash receptacle size and the style is effective May 1st. So that will be here before you know it, and just make sure that prepared with the proper trash receptacles as of the beginning of May. With that, I'll turn it over to Manny for his report.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Council President. Good morning, Madam Mayor, and members of council. Sorry, I have to take off my glasses. I'll start with beaches and streets. Up until last week, and then I'll discuss this week. Beach raking is now completed for the season. We've now washed down everything, and it's back into cold storage. The handicap ramps were being cleared of sand and whatnot until this past week. The Point Road was open for vehicles, and split rail fences have been repaired as needed. We started our sign replacements, pothole patching, curb painting. That is all resumed. We're checking the docks and the water lines daily, making repairs as needed. We were supposed to help the American Legion with a skid steer and some equipment that they needed for the construction, but that has since been put on hold. My understanding was a contractor could not come on the day that it was supposed to come, so we're on hold waiting for Commander to let us know. We'll obviously jump in and help.
I'll just interject that there was a lot of work that was done at the American Legion. Anyone that's available and has time to go out and take a look at what the renovations, it looks absolutely stunning. So a lot of really good work was done in a very short period of time, and the benefit of the Home Depot Veterans Foundation.
Thank you. I echo that. I was going to say that doesn't mean the whole job's been put on hold. The portion that we were supposed to assist with was placed on hold. There is a new 25-mile-an-hour speed limit sign, solar panel, on 2nd Avenue at 84th Street, I believe it is. Yes, 84th Street. That's now functional. I tested it. It works. The county is starting work on the 104th Street Bridge. I know that affects a lot of people. I did get assurance from them that the road is structurally sound, so we still can get our trash trucks across there. I know there's several houses under reconstruction in that area, so we can still get normal loaded traffic across the one lane. They are to start, well, they started underwater work this past week. They will be starting surface work next week, and we are assisting however way they want, but it's the county's contract. We're placing no parking signs along 104th Street to allow access for their construction vehicles. Or I'm sorry, PD is putting the traffic signs up. A note from the county also is that the Ocean Drive Bridge is going to be starting major reconstruction this winter, likely in December. That will be shutting down one lane at a time as well. Again, this will assist as needed, but there's not a whole lot for us to do. I just wanted to make a statement across the board that the county will be starting those fortifications shortly, probably in December. I am considering a change in the parking situation that I will make a presentation on the November 14th meeting for full council to consider. But it's a little premature right now, but we are looking at the parking situation, and we will have something more to report to you shortly. And then lastly, we did close the beaches after the storm damage that occurred. We do still have people going out on the beach. There were several out there this morning doing yoga, and there were several trucks out there this morning again. I mean, they're coming in from a couple of different areas. It looks like 78th Street in Avalon is a common point for entry, and then they're just coming southbound. We do have the access blocked off. We can't do a whole lot until we hear back from the DEP. There's work going on with the DEP to try to get emergency authorization so that we can go ahead and start the work on at least getting it safe to the point where it can be accessible again. On to buildings, the concession stands have all been removed off the beaches. They're sitting over on 95th Street parking lot. We made some HVAC improvements here at the court. Repairs were made to the firehouse heating system. We assisted the maintenance of the clay and bocce courts. Fall decorations and banners are up. And we did paint the metal roof on the pole barn at the Public Works facility. One thing not on the list is we did restart the playground inspections at the end of last month after the comment that was made during full council meeting. And we will continue doing those playground inspections. I do have copies here if anybody wants to see them. We supported several special events in September, the bike safety for school, farmers markets, the En Blanc dinner, as well as Savor September, as the letter did suggest. I'm going to hold off the water and sewer report for the utility committee portion of it, but I will branch that off into stormwater. We did start clearing stormwater drains earlier in September up until the nor'easter hit. That's obviously been suspended now, but we will resume going back to the stormwater cleanings. As to the pilot that was mentioned previously, we have started a task force of sort. We have a committee developed that is looking into the flooding along the bay side. We carefully looked at each one of the outfalls, and we've come down to a pretty good area that we're going to go ahead and do a pilot study on. It's a pretty low investment, and it's going to produce, hopefully, a pretty decent return on that investment. Specifically, what we're looking at is Sunset Drive between 92nd and 95th. Right from 95th over to 96th, there's a little bit of a hump in the road, so it kind of creates a concave shape in the road there on Sunset, which is notoriously flooded. You know, and certainly this past week did show that. The reason that was picked, well, one, it's easy access to a lot of the outfalls that go straight down the end of the streets to the bulkheads. So the repairs or the changes we can make are pretty easy. But also, there are some low bulkheads that are on the 9200 block of Sunset that are all going to be raised here by November. Those three have been notoriously providing bay water coming over the top of them and runs, straight down the length of the bulkhead, comes out onto 93rd Street, and it creates that flooding situation on 93rd. So the idea is, once those bulkheads are up, we'll be able to insert butterfly valves between the last storm drain and the bulkhead. And the idea with the butterfly valve is to close it during high tide events. Right now, we're doing this manually. This won't be done with any computerized technology or anything like that. It's going to be us watching the tides, making sure we know when it's coming. When we have high tides predicted, we're going to run out there and close those three valves. There'll be one on 93rd, one on 94th, and one on 95th. 92nd now is rerouted to 93rd Street, for those who didn't know. That stormwater goes down along Sunset to 93rd. So we'll install those three butterfly valves and close them during high tide events If it's raining, obviously the rain in there will get captured and not go anywhere. But we're hoping that it's low enough, it should only be a couple of inches at most, that we can then go out there and open it during low tide event and let that water escape out. And the idea of stopping the water from coming back in through the bay. I'm asking for pricing now. I've got 3 contractors looking at it. I don't have any pricing to share with you just yet. I have my own personal estimate, but it should not be a major investment by any stretch. These are 3, 12-inch valves to install. It's also being done with the idea that if we do end up computerizing this, putting a SCADA system on there, it's not money that will be poorly spent. That can be adapted easily for the computerized system if we go down that path later on. So for now, it's a dumb system. We have to go manually close them and open them. But eventually, if they do become computerized, it's easily adaptable. Excuse me. Onto grounds, the lawns are being cut weekly. 2nd Avenue is edged bi-weekly. 82nd Street Recreation Field is still being cut weekly. Urns and baskets are being watered daily. Trash and debris removed from borough properties daily. The flower beds are still being weeded. We're maintaining the clay courts, as well as other maintenance issues with recreation. We assisted with the 9/11 Firemen's Memorial shrubs and trimmed and cleaned up the entire park area right there next to the firehouse, but ahead of September 11th. Pine trees were trimmed away at the property lines on the south end parking lot, and we'll be starting the perky pave, the permeable material that goes around the trees. We'll be reinstalling that at the base of the 300 block of 96th Street here shortly. Onto solid waste, we had 192 tons of solid waste collected in September. It's down, obviously, from August, as is expected. 70 tons of solid stream recycling, a little over half a ton of wood pallets, 47 tons of bulk waste, 5.6 tons of brush, branches, and limbs, and 0.39 tons of the e-waste that was collected and sent over. Bulk week or bulk day starts again on Tuesday, October 11th. So we're ready and prepared for that. Just a word on the tippers, and thank you for bringing that up earlier with the amendment or the changes to the ordinance. The first tipper has come back after several generations of trying to get it fixed to our liking. It's now acceptable to us. It's not perfect, but it's acceptable. So we've now taken the second truck up to get retrofitted. It's going to take about a week per truck, and we have 8 trucks. So, within 2 months, we should have all of our trucks back and retrofitted, ready to go ahead of the May 1st deadline. So we're in pretty good shape. We're feeling much more confident than we were about the tippers at this point. The convenience center is still being used. We had a drop-off 3 weeks ago. We went down to only 37 drop-offs for the week, which was pretty low. In fact, it was the lowest since it started. But then it came back up to 63, and then this past week it's down to 41. So there's a lot of volatility. We're monitoring it closely to see what we should do with the off-season and as well as the permanent structure if we end up maintaining this as a permanent feature. But right now there's still some volatility, and I think it's just because of, say for September was that big jump in trash. So people came into town for that kind of thing. We'll see with this holiday weekend what that does to our numbers as well. And then lastly is automotive. We're still maintaining all the fire company, police vehicles, beach patrol, recreation, fuel pumps, small engine pieces, and everything's being maintained properly. That's all I have for Public Works, minus utilities.
Very good, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Just I think might be appropriate now to speak to the beach sweep.
Yes.
Because there's been some conversation about what we're going to do, and that is scheduled for October 22nd. So if you could just fill council in, and I believe a meeting is scheduled to kind of start to decide whether or not that'll go as planned or not. So if you could just bring everybody up to date on that.
That's pretty much up to date.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, we were waiting to see what the DEP was doing an entire beach analysis from Monmouth County to Cape May this week. So we are waiting to see what they are coming back with in terms of the damage. So they were on yesterday, I believe, here. They noted all the damage that we have. I think they're going to assemble everything together, put out a report, and I think that report's going to hold a lot of weight in terms of the beach sweep that is scheduled.
Okay.
Yes, there is a meeting scheduled.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I think, right? Yeah, I think it's Tuesday.
Okay, so we will know at that point. You anticipate Tuesday, if there is any kind of cancellation, that it would be, something would go out at that point?
That's
Tuesday,
right.
Wednesday?
We, of course, wanted to involve Sandy as, because it involves public safety on the beach, obviously Manny, and we will have additional information. Robert will probably be involved.
Okay,
We do have a meeting set up for Tuesday,
okay.
and then we'll make a recommendation to the governing.
And I would imagine Clean Ocean Action's being kept apprised of everything themselves.
They are.
Right,
That's why
so,
it's-
okay,
It's in conjunction with the loss is obviously the safety aspect, because
right,
the scarping and the cliff-like dunes, and whether or not that's safe, essentially.
okay,
So we'll have all the appropriate parties from staff weigh in and then make a recommendation to the governing body.
okay.
And just if I can add a quick note to that, the scarping we've seen is strange in a sense, that we've seen it on the north end of Stone Harbor, which is rare. 83rd Street has 7-8 foot scarps that are, incredibly dangerous. Standing on that, you will fall, and it's weak sand
Yeah.
under there. So it's a different kind of unique storm, I think, than what we've seen. We didn't see that damage even with Sandy or Jonas,
Yeah,
for example, which
okay.
had much more surge and much higher, winds, and yet this storm, for whatever reason, created a lot of damage on the north end. The south end as well. It's across
Right,
our entire
right.
beaches, but the north end specifically it's a strange kind of storm. We're still trying to figure out why it did what it did.
Okay,
I think it's fair to say that the likelihood that the recommendation will be to cancel is high. But I don't want to prejudge that before we speak to our professionals.
okay. Jenny has something to add?
I wanted to mention that at that meeting, we're also discussing the surf contest that is scheduled for next Saturday,
Longboard.
That's the 22nd as well?
the 15th.
Oh, the 15th.
Yeah, so that's possible. We may have to cancel that.
Okay, so the meeting is Tuesday, the 12th, and discussing the 15th and the 22nd. Okay, got it, got it.
I think that concludes the report for Public Works.
Okay, thank you, Reese. Let's move on to utilities. Councilmember Parzak.
Manny, can I call on you to give your water sewer report?
Thank you, Madam Councilwoman. Again, good morning to everyone. Yes, the water and sewer, we continue taking samples as normal. Everything is being submitted timely to the DEP. We just submitted September's results back. Well static levels are being recorded. Station recordings and daily reports are still being completed on time and submitted properly. We are getting ready to start our fire hydrant flushing program, which, is a good time of year to be doing that. Lenigan Plumbing has come back into town. I believe they have 29 of the 40 meters now fixed. These were the ones that were in concrete that had to be redone with the meter pits. There was a change order that had been previously approved by council to do that work. So they are now back, and like I said, they're at least 3/4 of the way through with them. They should be done, I would think, next week. We did register with the New Jersey DEP for their emergency contact management system, which was quite timely since it came into effect with the nor'easter. And lastly, we have 4 employees taking the base level operators course. One is a water and sewer employee, one is from solid waste, and 2 are from the automotive group. So we are trying to cross-train and get everyone, at least with the base level operators licensing in case we need to bring them into water and sewer on an as-needed basis. That's my report for water and sewer.
Okay, thank you. Mr. de Blasio did go over the fact that there was a bid opening within the past week or so, and we have an ordinance I think it's a resolution, to approve the work to be done, and that work will cost $41,000 plus. $41,107. Okay. The chlorinization changeover to tablet project. Those systems were ordered and they have arrived, but the work will not begin until the population goes down, maybe in December or so. January will be finished this winter. Okay. The iBank application is in progress, and I want to report to Mayor and Council and to the people of Stone Harbor, some important budgetary issues that the Utility Committee has been talking about. We've met more than several times over the past 2 weeks. Everyone should realize that Stone Harbor's water and sewer utility has its own budget. It's not funded by real estate taxes, but by the water sewer bills. By federal IRS law, all costs and debt incurred in the delivery of that clean water and processing of the sewage must be paid for by water sewer receipts. It's not a tax-deductible thing, and it can't be involved in the real estate taxes. And all receipts from the water sewer bills must be spent on the delivery of clean water, and then the removal and processing of waste, water, and sewage. It's a closed circle. It has its own budget. Regarding the cost to deliver clean water, since 2014, when the lead issue first exploded in Flint, Michigan, the state of New Jersey has mandated that all lead be removed from all the water and sewer lines. We have until 2031 to do this. That's the real reason why Stone Harbor is constantly digging up our streets, block by block, to get the lead out by replacing the water and sewer lines. Each block, the renovation of each block costs approximately $600,000 to dig up, replace the water and sewer lines, put the conduits for underground electric service and Comcast service into the streets, and then beautifully repave the street. And 2/3 of that cost is assigned to water and sewer utility. So far, we've done that work on less than half of our blocks. We have a long way to go by 2031. That's just on the water sewer lines. Then, regarding the cost to process the wastewater and sewage, over the past several years, the county MUA, which processes our sewage, their bills to Stone Harbor have increased. The utility has been subsidizing that cost for several years, but we can't any longer. We now have to pass on that cost to our consumers. And then there's the everyday cost to deliver clean water and take away the sewage, which is regulated by the ever-expanding expectations of federal and state law. Costs include the maintenance of the infrastructure of the wells and the lift stations, the chlorinization of the water, the daily testing of the water, and subsequent record keeping, and the 5-person public works crew permanently assigned to all that water sewer work. It's all so very expensive, and it's been very expensive for many years. That's why the water sewer utility is in debt to the tune of approximately $27.5 million. That's a lot of principal and debt service to carry. So it is the unanimous recommendation of the Utilities Committee to increase water and sewer rates. We agree that the gross receipts from the water sewer bills should be increased by approximately 8%, which is probably less than the current rate of inflation. But this doesn't mean that everyone's bill will go up by 8%. We have manipulated the MUA charges and the water rates to skew the increase towards those property owners who use the most water, and at the same time, the flat rate, which is assigned to every property owner equally, which pays for the cost of just connecting the home to the water and sewer system. Those flat rates will be reduced. The Utilities Committee will recommend this rate increase and have the ordinance ready for a vote within the next month. And hopefully the new water rates will be in place by the first quarter of the 2023 water bill. This has been a long process, a long discussion, a thoughtful discussion. I want to thank our CFO, Jim Kraft, the former Chair of Utilities, Reese Moore, the committee member, Frank Dallahan, Deborah Candelori, our Utilities Collector, our new Public Works Director, Manny Parada, the Water and Sewer Supervisor, Rocky Tirado. Everyone made valuable input to this recommendation. Thank you to all. Regarding the water issue, the water usage, here are Stone Harbor's water numbers for the month of September. In September, we used 28.284 million gallons of water. And at the end of September, we had used 66% of the borough's annual allotment of water, which is mandated by the DEP. A comparison to that number is last year at the end of September, by the end of September, we used 29.855 million gallons, which is about 1.5 million gallons more in the month of September last year than we did this year. And by the end of September last year, we had used 74% of our annual allotment. So actually, for the first 9 months of this year, and including the summer months, we saved 8% water over last year. So I think that we've done pretty well. And in the words of Jeff Woolery, who is a passionate watcher of these numbers, and thank you for that, Jeff, these are his words to me. We are still doing good for year to date. I think the new ordinance and continued education is having a positive effect, but more is still to be done, and I agree with that. And in regard to the new landscaping ordinance, here is a reminder. Starting in January, there will be no more watering between the sidewalk and the curb with spray heads. The only watering allowed is by drip method or, of course, by hand watering. So if you water between the curb and the sidewalk, call your landscaper to switch over to the drip method. Or put in stones or permeable pavers or permeable concrete. Or call your landscaper and just disconnect your water heads. And just get enough brown spots to let everyone know that you are a water saver. You'll be cool. And there's beauty in that too. And two other issues. There are two ordinances that are coming up in our regular meeting that I will vote against. One is Ordinance 1650, or 1615. The ordinance, the wording is too broad for me. And the issue of water and sewer is very complicated. It's technical. It's riddled with regulation. It has its own budget. I believe it should be its own department, and so I will vote against that one also. And that is all from water, sewer, utility.
So when can we expect to see the increases, like the numbers?
Well, the water meters are being read now, so we'll know what the new basis numbers are, individual numbers for the water usage, and which really affects the sewer usage, or the sewer rates year-round. We'll know those numbers in the last quarter. Is that right? This last quarter for the next bill, is that due in November? December?
They do December 1st, and we'll have the reads very soon.
But the new rates, we're hoping to start February 1st, the first quarter of 2023.
So is that final read going to affect your recommendation for the rate increase?
No.
Okay, so when will we see what is being proposed as far as a rate increase?
The first quarter of 2023, if we get the ordinance passed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We want to see the rate increase before we bring the ordinance forward. So when are we going to see what the increase is that's being proposed?
Well,
so the public can see it as well.
Well, this would, we just decided on this, what, yesterday or the day before?
Okay.
So I don't think it's been on the website, has it?
Well, what I'm saying is before we will introduce the ordinance increasing the rates, we need to know what the rates are going to be and to have public discussion. And in order to have that all in place by what you're talking about is what, February 1st?
Well,
it's going to be difficult to do because we wouldn't be introducing until the second meeting in January then at this rate, because we won't be carrying, unless we get it introduced quickly, because you want to get it done by the end of the year, and it's going to require time. There needs to be public discussion. You know that always turns into going back to the drawing board, and you need that 4 weeks for intro. So if you're anticipating this happening in February, then we got to get it introduced by the first meeting in November.
Okay.
Which means we got to have the numbers next meeting.
Okay.
We've got to have that ordinance in front of us next meeting for discussion.
We have the numbers here.
But the public doesn't.
That's right, the public.
Right, we got to see that proposed ordinance and everything for discussion.
Should I ask Jim Kraft to get up and just talk about the technicalities of or do you want to wait until people have it in front of them so they can?
I would like for the public to know that what is going to be discussed so they can tune in and listen to Jim as he brings things forward.
Okay,
So what we need is what you want introduced, is what we need. So we need that on the agenda for the next work session, if you want to move at the rate that you say you want to move.
Okay, well,
Okay.
let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll put that in under discussion for the October 18th meeting.
Fine.
And also, too, we have to remember that in November, there's the 5 Tuesdays. So there's that lull of the last 3 weeks in November, we don't meet. So in order, you got to be cognizant of that timeline. If you're looking for February 1st, I'm thinking that that's being very aggressive. I don't know that we're going to be able to do it.
Okay, well, let's try.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it for utilities. Okay, I see nothing for discussion, so a motion to adjourn the work session.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Work session is concluded, adjourned. Would everyone like to forge on, or do you need a break?
Forge on.
Forge on, okay. Okay, the regular council meeting is now called to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Here.
Councilmember Parzak?
Here.
Councilmember Casper?
Here.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Here.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Here.
This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notices of this meeting was sent via email to the Atlantic City Press and Cape May County Herald on October 4th, 2022. In addition, copies of notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the front door of the borough website, the borough Facebook page, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on aforementioned date. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. And for the record, this meeting was held in person as well as streamed via video telephone conference in a Zoom format. And just a little, I just wanted to share a little information with everyone before we stand for the pledge, because I'm going to ask you for a moment of silence. It was brought to my attention this morning that an individual that was born and raised here in Stone Harbor, we would consider a Stone Harbor son, by the name of Scott Bachman, is actively involved in the recovery effort on Sanibel Island. And apparently Scott Bachman, and I knew that Robin would remember him because he, like I said, he was born and raised here in Stone Harbor. He's a graduate of Middle Township High School. He is well, so it is not that. Okay. I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that Scott's a tugboat captain, and in the last 2 days, he has brought 30 essential vehicles via tug and barge back to Sanibel Island, because they had removed these essential vehicles prior to the storm, but the only road leading into the island was washed out, so everything's being brought back via barge. So in the last 2 days, he's brought over 30 essential vehicles back, and they include fire trucks, lineman trucks, and fuel trucks. So I just thought that it's a very small world that one of Stone Harbor's native sons is down there and part of that recovery effort. And I just thought that was an interesting thing to share with everyone here in Stone Harbor, and to just thank him for his efforts. And so after the pledge, I just think I would like to have a moment of silence just for those folks down there. There's a lot of loss. People have lost their homes. People have lost loved ones, and they're going to need strength and support as they put their lives back together. And there's a part of Stone Harbor down there that's a part of this effort, and I just thought that deserved acknowledgement this morning. So with that being said, I'm going to ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of silence for those folks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Kim, do we have any communications?
I do not have any communications, Mayor.
May I have a motion concerning the minutes?
Madam Mayor and Council, I move, since all members of council have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the work session and regular meeting of September 20th, 2022, if there are no additions or corrections, I move we dispense with the reading of the minutes and that they be approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? We'll now have public comment. Anyone wishing to participate in public comment may do so at this time. Those folks in council chambers, if you come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. And as for those who are participating in Zoom, once we have concluded public comment here in council chambers, I will go to you guys, and I'm going to ask you to raise your hand electronically.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Suzanne Walters, 115 92nd Street. I have a number of issues to address, but the first one is about the permits for weddings on the beach. As many of you know, I officiate weddings and have done so for the last 25 years. And so, you know, I happen to know quite a bit about it. I did not realize that we were experiencing a problem here in Stone Harbor. I certainly understand having guidelines and expectations for people of having their weddings on the beach. We do now have people register, call to, or write, I guess it has to be in writing, to reserve a particular beach or a pavilion to have their wedding. We do not charge anything. So now what we're proposing is a $250 fee. I'm assuming that this applies to renewal of vows also, which is something I don't know that any of you are aware of, but that's pretty popular here too, that people that were married here renew their vows 10, 15, 20, even 1 year after their wedding. So, but I have a lot of questions about this ordinance. One of the on the regulations, only real undyed flower petals shall be allowed on the beach for use at a beach wedding. Fake flower petals made of silk, plastic, nylon, blah, blah, blah. Does this apply at all for the wedding? Is it the arbor that people put up? Is it the bride's bouquet, the bridesmaids' bouquets? Who is going to check this? Some people put decorations on chairs. And again, who's going to police this? You know, we have a regulation against it, but it's not to say that people aren't going to do it. The permit also, or the regulation also says 20 chairs are permitted. Why 20? Where did that number come from? Weddings can be from 5 people to 100 people to 150 people. Where did the 20 come from? Each wedding is to have a 2-hour time frame for setup, the ceremony, photographs, and then the cleanup afterwards. Who's timing this? Is somebody going to be there to, you know, when the person comes down to put the chairs down, okay, the clock starts now for 2 hours. Who's going to get cited for these things, for infractions of these rules? Is it the bride? Is it the parents? Is it the officiant? Is it the florist? And when will that citation take place? At the beginning of the wedding? After the wedding? A week later? You know, when is all that going to happen? Motor vehicles. No generators or motor vehicles are permitted on the beach. If someone has a beach permit for taking their vehicle on the beach, and I realize that the permit says it's for fishing, but we all know that people get permits and simply, you know, like to go down to the beach. So if somebody part of this wedding has a beach permit, are they not allowed to have their vehicle there? Let's see what else here. No portion of the public beach access sidewalks should be obstructed or utilized for a wedding ceremony. Well, I certainly, you know, understand, and everybody understands that that would certainly apply to a large group. But I had a wedding recently. I don't know, late August, early September was a very stormy day. And it was only the bride and groom and their parents and myself. So actually, there were 5 people. It was only one parent. But they wanted it on 123rd Street Beach. And as I say, it was a really bad day. The tide was up. We did it on the overpass going down to the beach. We had the ceremony there. That wouldn't be permitted under this. Another thing is it says 50 feet from the beach entrances or pavilions. Who's going to measure that? Is there a 50-foot radius? I had a wedding, again, in the last couple weeks, that they had reserved the 101st Street Pavilion. What I found out when I got to the wedding, I was informed by the photographer that the guests were going to stay on the pavilion, but the bride and groom and their attendants were going to be on the beach. It was 101st Street. I'm sure we were not within 50 feet of the pavilion, and we were definitely not 50 feet from the entrance to the beach. So, I don't know, again, would we have been cited during the wedding, after the wedding, and who? Is there a time frame on this? Is this Memorial Day to Labor Day, or is this year-round? Is there a time of day? Is it when the guards are on duty during the summer or not? Is it number of people? As I say, sometimes a wedding is the bride and groom, there are 2 witnesses, and myself. Sometimes it's 150, 200 people. Do we have any numbers that we're looking at here? And there's 14 days for they're to apply 14 days before the use of the beach. Do we have a day? Do we have a time for approval of this? Is it within the 14 days? Is it possible we get to the day and they don't know? I have had military people who are called up for active duty that, they have the 72 hours to get their license, and then they want to get married right then. They're not going to have the 14 days, and they want to have it on the beach. Again, it could be only 4, 5 people down there, but still, it's, these are things that come up. I called our neighboring communities. Obviously, Cape May has, they are in the top 10 of weddings in the country with Las Vegas and Disney World. So they have a $150 fee. But Cape May Point has an application fee, and they have a security deposit because they do allow fires on the beach. There's a $250 security deposit, which is returned if there's no damage to their beaches. The Crest has an application fee and proof of insurance. Everybody else has nothing. North Wildwood, Avalon, Lower, Ocean City, Upper, none of them have any permits or fees involved. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a fee involved in registering, but I just think what we're asking here is onerous. I don't know if when people come in to get a marriage license, if you ask them why they've picked Stone Harbor as the place where they want to get married, but usually it's for a love of Stone Harbor, that they have some connection here. They met here, they spent their childhood here, summers here. It's a heartfelt connection that they have to the town. And I just think what we're asking is onerous. So I ask you to please take it back under consideration. As I say, I didn't realize we were having a problem, so why fix something that isn't broken? A couple other issues. One, I understand through the grapevine that state health benefits are going to be increased by 23%. I believe our employees are covered under the state health benefits plan?
Correct.
Okay. I haven't heard anything about what we're doing to address that 23% increase. I mean, that's huge. That's in premiums. I know that the CSA statewide protested at the State House, the governor's office, whatever, and they were able to get a 3% increase for the state employees, but the municipal employees are still looking at 23%. That's something that obviously is going to affect our employees greatly and our budget. So I think we need to start thinking about it and talking about it. Things that came up in the work session, I was glad to hear that our numbers were up on the beach tags. I know, having worked there this summer, there were a lot of Avalon seasonal tags, and it was a principle thing. It really wasn't the money, it was the principle, the fact that we raised our rates and Avalon did not raise theirs. But I do believe that in our accounting of the beaches, or the money that we take in, it does cover trash pickup on the beach, raking, and police patrols, other than just lifeguards and the beach tag salaries. So, because that's what we tell people when they ask, why are we paying this? We say, look at the beautiful beaches that you have because of all this. And I have a question. I know that our street ends are all closed. I didn't realize, is the beach totally closed right now, that we're not allowed to walk on it? Because, quite frankly, I've been walking on it.
Yes.
I get on in Avalon. So we're not permitted access to our beach at all.
They're locked off, they're tied off.
Well, the street ends are tied off, but I mean, I went down to the Windrift and got on the beach there and then walked
We're
the
doing our
length of our
best to
beach.
make it clear that the beach is closed with the signage, with the strip tape, et cetera. It should be pretty clear, right, Manny?
Yeah, we've also put up construction fencing at the beach ends.
So you're not permitted on the beach?
I believe there was a Facebook blast as well.
Okay, I mean, I understood that I couldn't get down to the beach from the street ends, that there were cliffs and things like that, but I didn't realize that if I could get on somewhere, that I couldn't walk on our beach.
We thought we were making it clear based on our actions, the fencing, the tape, et cetera, that the beach was closed.
Okay.
We should probably have an announcement on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is nothing. I looked when I was sitting here, I looked, because I was not aware that we couldn't, if we could get on, that we couldn't just walk on our own beaches. And a question about, when talking about the water and sewer rates, I know there's an experimental project in front of Borough Hall here with the artificial turf. It looks pretty good. It's nice and green. Do we have any restrictions on that for homeowners of putting
Restrictions
it on our
on the artificial turf?
Are we permitted to tear up our lawns and put?
Oh, I believe
artificial
so. I
turf
don't
in?
think that there's any ordinance against that. I think that many people are encouraging that, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm thinking about it in light of increased rates. Thank you very much. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank
Take the
you,
agenda
Suzanne.
here.
Is there anyone else who would like to participate in public comment?
Bonnie, Pat Langford, live at 104th Street, 3rd Avenue. I'm going to talk about the bulkhead situation. My mother owns a house. She's 91 years old. It's a tear down, and she is not going to replace her bulkhead. You're going to put her in jail because she's not going to do it. And her argument is how come the last storm, she said was terrible. I wasn't here at the time. No water came over our bulkhead. It all came up through the city. We just had someone put a bunch of money in 104th Street there, new sewer lines. That street got dug up saying, oh, that's going to help the flooding. It didn't help the flooding. And I don't know how you're going to tell my mother to drop all this money on this house, and you can look out in the city streets, and that's where your water's coming from. So I want you to explain to my mother, write a note or something, why she has to put money into this bulkhead. And you're gonna put her, she's not gonna do it. And now you're gonna put this woman in jail. And we'll take pictures of it for you, because she's not doing it. She goes, why should I put $1 million when I know she's gonna die this year? If she dies this year, we're gonna sell the house, and we're not gonna do it. So I wanna know what my mother's punishment's gonna be by saying, no, she's not gonna do, and there's a lot of houses on our bay, Carnival Bay, that have not bulked up. Are we going to jail? Someone please answer that question for me, because I'll get her all ready to go to jail. She wants to know if she can wear black and take a little heater with her, because that's all she does, sit around and watch TV, and she'd rather go to jail. And I think that's sad. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in council chambers who would like to participate in public comment? Seeing no one, I will go to Zoom. If there is anyone on Zoom who would like to participate in public comment, please raise your hand electronically. I'm going back and forth. Just so you know, there's 16 participants on Zoom. I see no electronic hands. I will close public comment. Ordinance 1613.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance 1613 be taken up on second, third, and final reading.
Second?
Excuse me, be taken up on second reading.
On second reading.
Correct. A second?
Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1613 on second reading?
Ordinance 1613, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1603, the 2022 salary ordinance amending job titles and maximum limitations.
The public hearing on ordinance 1613 is now open. If anyone on Zoom would like to participate in this public hearing, please raise your hand electronically. The public hearing on ordinance 1613 is closed.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance 1613 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Second?
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1613?
Ordinance 1613, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1603, the 2022 salary ordinance amending job titles and maximum limitations.
Madam Mayor, I move that ordinance 1613 be passed on third and final reading, adopted and published according to law.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Ordinance 1614.
Mayor, I move that ordinance 1614 be introduced.
Taken up.
No, taken up. Amending Chapter 67 of the Code of the Borough of Stone Harbor, creating the position of Deputy Borough Clerk.
And it's being
For
taken
second.
up on second reading. Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1614 on second reading?
Ordinance 1614, an ordinance amending Chapter 67 of the Code of the Borough of Stone Harbor, creating the position of Deputy Borough Clerk.
The public hearing on ordinance 1614 is now open. Anyone who would like to participate in the public hearing on ordinance 1614 on Zoom, please raise your hand electronically. The public hearing on ordinance 1614 is closed.
Mayor, I make motion that ordinance 1614 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1614?
Ordinance 1614, an ordinance amending Chapter 67 of the Code of the Borough of Stone Harbor, creating the position of Deputy Borough Clerk.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Ordinance 1615.
I move that ordinance 1615 be taken up on second reading.
Second?
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
The public hearing on, wait a second, clerk read the title only of ordinance 1615 on second reading.
Ordinance number 1615, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Administration of Government, Article 9, Department of Public Works, Section 10-34A, Director of Public Works.
The public hearing on ordinance 1615 is now open. Anyone on Zoom who would like to participate in the public hearing on ordinance 1615, please raise your hand electronically. Public hearing on ordinance 1615 is closed.
I move that ordinance 1615 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1615?
Ordinance number 1615, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Administration of Government, Article 9, Department of Public Works, Section 10-34A, Director of Public Works.
I move that this ordinance 1615 be passed on third and final reading, adopted and published according to law.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Ordinance 1616.
Madam Mayor and Council, I move that ordinance 1616 be taken up on second reading.
Second?
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1616 on second reading?
Ordinance number 1616, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Administration of Government, Article 7, Administrative Organization, Article 9, Department of Public Works, and Article 11, Department of Utilities, establishing Division of Utilities within the Department of Public Works.
The public hearing on ordinance 1616 is now open. Anyone who would like to participate in the public hearing on Zoom, please raise your hand electronically. The public hearing on ordinance 1616 is closed.
Madam Mayor and Council, I move that ordinance 1616 be passed on second reading and advanced to third and final reading.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1616?
Ordinance number 1616, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Administration of Government, Article 7, Administrative Organization, Article 9, Department of Public Works, and Article 11, Department of Utilities, establishing Division of Utilities within the Department of Public Works.
Madam Mayor and Council, I move that ordinance 1616 be passed on third and final reading, adopted and published according to law.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Ordinance 1617.
Mayor and Council, I offer ordinance 1617, amending Chapter 542, Water and Sewer Section, 542-1, Definitions and Word Usage, and Section 542-14, Sanitary Collection System Installation, second, third, and final readings.
Second.
So this is being taken up on second reading. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1617 on second reading?
Ordinance number 1617, an ordinance amending Chapter 542 Water and Sewers, Section 542-1, definitions and word usage, and Section 542-14, sanitary collection system installation.
The public hearing is now open on ordinance 1617. Anyone who would like to participate on Zoom in the public hearing on this ordinance, please raise your hand electronically. The public hearing is closed.
Second.
Second.
Nope, we need it moved.
Second.
No, we need to move it now on to third and final.
Third and final. I move that the ordinance be moved to the third and final reading.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1617?
Ordinance 1617, an ordinance amending Chapter 542 Water and Sewers, Section 542-1, definitions and word usage, and Section 542-14, sanitary collection system installation.
Move it to be passed on third and final. Adopted and published according to
Is
law.
that for me? Oh, I move that the motion be
Ordinance 1617.
ordinance 1617 be passed on third and final reading and adopted and published according to law.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
No.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Ordinance 1619.
I make a motion.
I second.
You have to read it.
that-
Yeah, right, you gotta
right,
move it.
that Ordinance 1619 be taken up on first reading. And this is
Oh, this is the first reading.
Yes, first.
amending Chapter 174 entitled Brush, Grass, Weeds, and Debris to include prohibition of invasive species. Introduction.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Do you want to explain the ordinance any further?
This was just brought to the Natural Resources Committee, and we felt it was the proper thing to do to bring this forward, especially since other communities have been doing this.
Okay. Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1619 on first reading?
Ordinance number 1619, an ordinance to amend the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Stone Harbor, Chapter 174, entitled Brush, Grass, Weeds, and Debris, to include prohibition of invasive species.
I move that this ordinance be passed on first reading, published according to law, and that it be taken up on second, third, and final reading and adoption at a meeting of mayor and council to be held on the first day of November 2022.
I second.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Resolution 2022 S-172.
Madam Mayor, Council, I offer Resolution 2022-S-172 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution is recommended by the Borough Engineer that a contract be awarded to Vulcan Construction for the beach ADA ramp and pavilion replacement on 88th Street and 101st Street. The cost of is equal to $460,000 to $460,200.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Resolution 2022 S-173.
Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2022-S-173. This resolution calls for the rescinding of the Resolution 2022-S-136, authorizing emergency appropriations for after-hour lifeguard program.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Resolution 2022 S-174.
Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2022-S-174 for adoption.
Second.
This supports State Senate Bill S-2449 and Assembly Bill A-3535, which will increase the State of New Jersey Shore Protection Fund from $25 million to $50 million.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Resolution 2022 S-175.
Mayor, I'd like to offer Resolution 2022-S-175, which is a resolution which awards a contract for the 114th Street Sanitary Sewer Main Rehabilitation.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Resolution 2022,
Did Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Resolution 2022 S-176.
Madam Mayor, I offer Resolution 2022-S-176 for adoption.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the refund of an accidental debit payment for utilities in the amount of $274 to the Logan family of 284 87th Street.
Did I get a second?
Did not.
Second.
Right.
Okay. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Resolution 2022 S-177.
Mayor and Council, I offer Resolution 2022-S-177. This calls for the appointment of a JIF Safety Coordinator, Lisa
Second.
Marcolongo.
Oops, sorry.
Now second.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzak?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
I need a motion approving a special event application that was discussed in prior meetings, the filming of Magic in the Maze at the 97th Street Rec Facility, requested by Sam Accardi for November 28th, 2022, from 5 to 8 p.m. And at that time, Mr. Accardi also requested that the fee of $250 be waived.
I offer this motion.
Does your motion include the waiving of the fee?
Yes.
I second.
Any discussion?
Well, I would like to have discussion regarding the actual fee. I guess it's a question in my mind as to when is appropriate to waive a fee of one activity versus another.
That is a discussion that I did have with the administrator, who then had that discussion with the solicitor. And I've requested that we get something in writing that will cover us when we do this, so it doesn't appear to be arbitrary in nature, and we have something to fall back on when we do decide that the waiving of a fee is appropriate, but there needs to be some sort of guidelines when we do that. So you are going to see something coming forward where we will officially codify when we will do that. Is there anything you'd like to add?
That'll give Borough Council something to hang their hat on when looking, so it's not just kind of a case-by-case, how do we feel about this, a little bit more rigid guidelines.
Very good.
So what
So
is the
you'll see
reason
that.
what is the reason for this particular waiver of the fee?
It seems council just, he requested it because he stated it is a low budget, not a nonprofit, but does not anticipate making any money. And at that time, when he asked for the fee waiver, the consensus of council at the time was to include that in the motion. And that is why we need something a little bit more definitive to, you know, how we're going to look at these things and decide whether or not we should be, waiving that fee or not, because it does open us up to those folks who aren't getting fees waived, and they may want us to articulate exactly why one person pays a fee and another doesn't.
And this was for only 2 or 3 hours, I believe, and there was no need for public assistance from us as far as
I think
police.
you're correct. There was no need for public works, trash removal, things like that. We are getting the insurance. And the one thing it's interesting is things always come to light. We do not have any inclusion of that recreation building on our special events application in the fees. We articulate a fee for the 82nd Street or 81st Street building, but we do not for this. So it brought forth some things that are going to be addressed. Any further discussion? So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Can I have a motion approving the bill list?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the bill list and authorize the CFO to pay the bills when the funds are available and the vouchers are properly endorsed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? At this time, we're about to consider a resolution to go in the private section. We'd appreciate it if you would all leave the council chambers until the resolution has been acted upon. At the conclusion of the private session, we'll come back into public session for the purpose of either taking action as a result of our discussion in private session or to simply adjourn. Resolution 2022 S-178.
Offer Resolution 2022-S-178 for adoption.
Second.
Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Moore?
Yes.
Councilmember Parzik?
Yes.
Councilmember Casper?
Yes.
Councilmember Gensimer? Councilmember Dallahan?
Yes.
Councilmember Kraftcheck?
Yes.
All right. Any motion to return to open session?
So moved. Second.
We will again have public comment. Anyone wishing to participate in public comment may do so at this time. There's nobody here in council chamber, so I'm just going to go straight to Zoom. If anybody on Zoom would like to participate in public comment, please raise your hand electronically. Joe's iPhone, please state your name and address for the record. Joe's iPhone. Your microphone is muted. Muted. I never know how to pronounce that word. Go ahead, Joe. Can you state your full name and address for the record, please?
Mayor, my name is Joseph Richards. And is this, Mayor, the opportunity I have just to speak comments we want on, things that we see going on in town?
Yes, it is. This is public comment.
Perfect.
Need the address.
So I live at
Can-
90. Go ahead.
Just give your full name and address for the record.
Okay. Joseph Richards, 9301 Sunset, Stone Harbor.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
You're on.
Thank you. As you know, 93rd Street gets deluged with water all the time, and I know the council is working on a revision of the pumps to help the pump stations, to minimize some of this water. What I have found and what my neighbors have found is that the bulkhead at 93rd Street is actually, the public bulkhead is leaking water. And I have videos of the water coming up from this bulkhead. And from what I was made aware from calling the township, is that this bulkhead evidently, was seen by the engineers, and they were going to fix it when they fixed the pump station at the same time, and maybe put some cement or something to try to stop this water from coming up every evening. I guess my question is there any thoughts to fixing this bulkhead leaking prior to doing the pump station, given that it's a separate job and has nothing to do with the grant money or anything like that?
We're not even doing the pump station.
Yeah, I think it's something that we need to review. I don't know that we have a decision definitively, but I agree with you. If it's something that needs to be addressed, the time to do it would be as we're doing this pilot test arrangement.
Joe, were you here? That was Councilmember and Council President Reese Moore that was talking. Were you on the meeting when the pilot program was discussed in the work session?
I was on the meeting when the engineer came on discussing how much money it was for the prior pump station and how it wasn't going to happen due to the cost. So you kind of shelved it.
No, earlier today, there was the superintendent of Public Works and the chairman of the Public Works Committee spoke about a pilot program that is going to entail the fixing, so to speak, and raising of the bulkheads, correct me if I'm wrong, 92nd, 93rd, 94th? And it would entail putting in some butterfly valves, when to release water, and so on and so forth. So, yes, it is on the radar, and things are being discussed basically, right now in committee about how to address those bulkheads. We are aware that they're leaking.
Oh, that's terrific. No, I was not aware of that. I just live right next to one and was concerned.
If a tape of this meeting will be posted on our website. Quickly it goes up. I would suggest you go to the website and go to the work session. And then under the Public Works portion, you will hear a description of what that pilot project is.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Is there anyone else on Zoom who would like to participate in public comment? Seeing no one, no electronic hands, I shall close public comment. Motion to adjourn.
Mayor and council, I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposition? We're adjourned.